You either make it into BBQ or into the most powerful ball in existence. Your first worker. No, you're supposed to look to your right, not directly at the camera. He's actually a better shot than Tansy. Why get the Flammenwerfer when you can have 5 Foxparks on rotation? It's called a thwack. Do I really need to point out the joke? Hope you like this and Jolthog, because they're the only electric types for quite some time. If only they could use their AKs when not in your party, because I want my base to be defended by a fire team of these AK apes. If you chose to start on a different island, you'll probably find this instead of Foxparks. Firing these guys out of a launcher has to be a reference to either the penguin missile meme or the actual penguin missile. If he's not working, he's probably stuck on a roof somewhere. A reusable hand grenade. A colder hand grenade. Unfortunately, it cannot transform. An infinite source of spheres and arrows. For boosting Dark-type pals, because trust me, you're going to be finding a lot of them. Your first healer. A cross between an Esper and an engineering student. For when Lamball is too busy transporting to be grazing and giving you wool. Its favorite hobby is creating dreams and killing low HP pals that you were trying to capture. When you want more mount gameplay and less Minecraft. I never noticed it until now, but there are a lot of Dark-type pals available early on. It can help you find ore even though it wasn't even hard to find in the first place. It defies gravity. Also, people have been suggesting that you make a Mao farm in order to farm gold coins. These guys don't spawn coins fast enough for it to be worthwhile. And now they can take a break from spawning coins to go and sit next to a cooler. Your first glider pal, even though Killamari comes before it in the Paldex and is probably a better glider. They hunt low-level tamers in packs. Deconstructing a base while this is in your party is not a good idea. Yes, you can milk the males. Just double check before doing it. I wonder if there's a way for it to actually interact with Cinemoth. You'll be wiping out these guys left and right because you always need more pal fluids. Can't exactly say the same thing about fire organs though. I gently opened the door. Okay, jokes aside, these are actually pretty useful because they glide upwards, but for some reason Hangyu Crystal refuses to load in the Paldex. Why become the Dragon Warrior when you can shoot grenades instead? References aside, these guys are both really solid pals even in late game. Their population has dropped drastically due to tamers discovering gun manufacturing. It can spawn you some extra berries just in case you somehow don't have enough already. Rideable Lamball. It's faster than a Nightwing and it can also double jump. If you have never gone to Wildlife Sanctuary number 1, you may have gone through the whole game without finding this guy. The entry-level flying mount. If you attack one of them, the entire group will fight back. There is only one thing worse than an abductor, a child abductor. Cinemoth. As you can tell by its name, it drops honey. It's become a fire type purely because of rage.
Yep.
The Black Musketeer's favorite pal. Not sure if it's scripted or not, but every server I've been on, the first raid has always included these guys. Meanwhile, half the scorching eggs you find on Mount Obsidian have these guys in them. There aren't many melee attackers in this game, but those that do have melee attacks have pretty sweet animations to go with it. The only glider pal that lets you shoot while gliding. Wait, so you're telling me that pals were human at some point? The problem with Robin Quill's special attack, along with lock-on laser for electric types, is that it takes way too long to charge up for an attack that doesn't deal enough damage. You can triple its attack stat using the partner skill. Instead of suing humans who steal its honey, this bee decides to take much more drastic measures. Where do you ought to go? You don't know? Then it doesn't matter which way you go. Fluff. Fluff Mothership. Chillet has become such a popular pal that I would not be surprised if it replaced Relaxorus on the icon, or if it became Palworld's new mascot. Use lock-on laser while riding this to crash your game. Cheerleaders for Frostallion. Renjong Lubu, Mahjong Pirate. Without any condensing, I think these are actually the fastest ground mounts in the game outside of legendaries. Will you stop cutting down trees and cool my food? Despite its Paldex entry, it is not faster than Byron. A great looking mount with both heating and air conditioning. It's like a daydream, but it's more likely to miss its attack. These go great with mining foremen. It's like a mid-boss to Mamarest being the final boss of the first area. Alright, which one's your favorite Thunder Dragon? This or Relaxorus Lux? This is the first water mount, And the problem with that is flying mounts exist. And by the time you find one that can go on land, you probably have a faster land mount anyway. Okay, this should be able to fly. Pretty bad when left to work alone, pretty good if you replace your pickaxe with this. Looks like Tom the cat has become a bat. I need a restraining order. Is there anyone else who believes we need a Flambelle Aqua so that we won't have to be murdering goblins for power fluid all the time? A significant upgrade from Nightwing. And if you have a Foxicle or you've been to the Ice Island, you can get a new paint job. Nothing personnel, kid. I cannot possibly be unbiased about this one, so I'm just gonna say it's the best and admit that I'm biased. I believe this is the only flying mount small enough to fly through an entire dungeon. And now the real question, do you prefer cats or foxes? The Luigi to Cinderace's Mario. I'm not exactly sure when you would be needing this one's partner skill. This only has one eye, so what are those other things on the side of its face? Somehow this is not a water type. There we go, that's better. I'm perfectly fine with no evolution for pals, but if they do add some, I think Kelpsy is a prime candidate for evolution. And now we have cheerleaders for those of you who have a fire pal as your main fighter. Konosuba's Aqua with less tears. Sadly, this will not increase your chances of getting a legendary rocket launcher blueprint when fighting Jetragon. But if you don't mind, it'll be your best ice type until you get Frost Alien. Big and tanky enough to be used as mobile cover. Both King Phono and King Phono Noct, Blaze Howl Noct, are pretty solid choices. Unlike the trailer, these can't actually swallow Pangolets whole, but who cares when you can become a living MLRS? Its sole purpose is planting, and Lylene does it faster. But at the very least, it's less likely to get stuck on a roof compared to Jormuntide. And after 71 entries in the Paldex, we finally have our second healer. According to the Paldex, it can cause an explosion. According to the Paldex, it can explode. Chonk. Icy Chonk. There are two types of newbies in this world. Those that avoid Mammorest, and those with 100 campfires. And when you're high enough level, these guys become your main source of pal oil. Unfortunately, the transporting skill it has doesn't really matter when it counts, because it can either carry 20 pieces of wood from a logging site, or a single piece of ore off the ground. It's supposed to give you fire damage, but I think it's a liar. An elusive ground mount that is often spawned underneath the map, drowning itself. Who needs arms when you have lifesteal? A very innocent looking dragon. Often butchered for a chance of getting a legendary assault rifle schematic. Forward swept wings manage to look pretty cool both on planes and on birds. How is this not a legendary for getting Lylene knocked? And we got Employee of the Month right here. A powerful water pal that gets stuck on trees way too often. A powerful fire pal coveted by tamers worldwide for its ability to bake cakes, but fast. Despite being such a late Paldex entry, this is actually slower than most of the other flying mounts, but it does have pretty incredible stamina to go with it. Stronger than Jormuntide, but only if you're riding it. Thanks to a certain bug, you may have obtained a free Zoe alongside your first Griswold, and upgraded Vitalia. Judging by its Paldex entry, other pals probably call this one Mami. Generally considered to be the best flyer before Jetragon. A born Goblin Slayer, born from the depths of insanity. I guess that's one way to describe the breeding farm. Palladius, the cooler Palladius. For once, we got ourselves a good ice legendary, and a breedable one that doesn't have worse stats than its parents. And with this final flying mount, you have become an ace combat protagonist. Wait, we still got the enemies. Armed with handguns or baseball bats, these common thugs are often found in large numbers, and losing to Mammorest. They will shoot dozens of bullets at you and only drop 3 upon death. They are in dire need of shorter fuses. These guys have to be pretty close to fire their shotguns, and they have a pretty long aim time as well, so you can just roll back out of their range and then they can't hit you.
Fire it up.
I don't know what the hell you feeding him, but he is too damn big!
We've got the rockets.
Trust me, hokey religions and crossbows are no match for a good handgun at your side. I only just realized that these guys have lightning bolts on their robes because their leader uses an electric type for helping you capture bosses. Now, if only they were still able to use their pulse guns after becoming captured, then they might actually be a decent fighting force. If you're gonna capture one, capture the blue one that sells pals, because then you can just refresh him by respawning him in. A gold coin pinata for those who can build hanging traps. Probably the Palworld character with the most fan art. Now you decide if that's good or down bad. Despite wielding a spear, she never actually uses it during her boss fight. Would be interesting if she could, though. She could, like, hop off lightly, use it, and if she gets low on health, she'll run back on top of lightly to heal. Good thing his boss theme has no piano in it. Judging by his journals scattered across the map, his bird is probably high as a kite right now. He spent all that R&D money creating Shadowbeak, when he could have just played matchmaker for Kitsune and Astegon. Because of the horns on his head, I just never saw him as a musk monkey.
Oh!
Oh my god. Okay, that was recorded. Okay, that's gonna be great.